I get all my finger popping done now.
Awful.
I'm sorry. Welcome to the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim.
That's Ashley.
That's Kim. We're here to recap and relive our favorite moments of episode 7, Business Proposal, with you, our listeners.
We're going to jump right in, so if you have not yet, make sure you go watch this episode before the poltergeist gets you. I just want to get through an intro, guys. I've been doing this for 18 months. Before listening to this episode of our podcast. So without further ado, let's get into it. Nailed it. First try. Yeah. Give me some.
Welcome to the KDrama Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kim.
We're here to unpack your all-time favorite Korean dramas and chat about all the reasons that we find these shows so charming.
And so addictive. And we know you do too, so settle in with some ramen and a boba tea while we dive into the KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim.
Now I'm thrown off because I don't remember what comes next. Follow us on Instagram at the KDrama Show. Life is getting less hectic for the two of us slowly, so there'll be some more tea. Because there's actually a lot of more fun things happening now that are a little bit more entertaining to talk about. Also, make sure you're following us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Make sure you're answering any of our questions that we have for the polls. Say hi.
So topic number 1 is called Frenemies. So TaeMoo has tried to call Hottie after ditching her on the side of the road.
Rude.
Very rudely. But her phone was charging at the front desk, I think, and so it's actually the concierge that answered it. And so he sees Hottie as he rushes into the hotel being harassed by her so-called friends.
Quote, quote.
Just asking, like, where's your boyfriend? Thought you had a big weekend planned. And he swoops in and saves the day. And Hottie pulls him aside as they're all kind of wandering toward dinner plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, where's my apology? Like, you literally just threw me out of your car in the pouring rain, said you had to go to a meeting, and all of a sudden you're here. Like, why is that okay? And he's like, you're right, it's not. I apologize. And she's kind of like, okay, well, go
Good.
away now. And he's like, you can't just save face in this situation and me not be a part of the solution. And she's like, no, I really think that I can handle it. And as they're kind of having this conversation, they can hear her, again, so-called friends mocking Hottie around the corner. They really are.
They're terrible.
Saying, like, I bet she bought him those expensive clothes, those designer clothes, just to make him look like he's rich. And then the girlfriend, MinWoo's girlfriend, scoffs and is like, as if she could afford those kinds of clothes.
Yura's just terrible.
She's something else. For real. But he ends up returning the favor to Hottie. You know, she pretended to be his girlfriend for so long, and now he's like, I'm going to be the fake Chibble boyfriend and help you look good in front of your friends. And he buys them all this really expensive meal, pulls out his black card, and he's like, what do my love for you and this card have in common? Neither of them have a limit.
With the sparkles around the card.
Exactly. And then he wipes her face with a napkin, tells her he's full from watching her eat, walks her to the bathroom because he can't stand to be apart from her, and rescues her from a near collision with a stranger. And he tells the friends that he knew that she was the one from their first meeting. And the friends are all buying into this. The two extra friends,
they're
right?
Eating it up.
They love it. This is their real life K-drama. They're like, wow, I wish this was me. Yura's like, I hate
both of you.
Yeah. And Hottie's just like, this is going way too far.
Yeah.
But what she doesn't realize is that this is all sincere. Like, TaeMoo is being sincere about it, and he wants to impress Hottie. But she just can't understand that it's real. So the final nail in the social coffin for Yura is when TaeMoo ends up dropping the bomb that he is the president of the company that helped to promote MinWoo's
success.
Success, yeah, exactly. And as they're leaving dinner, Yura tries to call Hari's bluff finally by saying, oh, aren't you guys going to stay here tonight? Or where are you staying? And Hari's like, oh, we got to get back to Seoul. And TaeMoo's just like, oh, we're staying here. Yeah, we got a room upstairs. And so Yura's like, okay, well, we should meet up for breakfast or for lunch tomorrow. And Hari's like, no. And TaeMoo's like, yeah, sure, absolutely. So yeah, they make plans for the next day. But that brings us to topic 2, which is called doubling down.
So while they were at dinner, Hari actually had spilled her wine on herself because of TaeMoo's antics.
Overdoing it.
And being like, yeah, what department does the president work in? Fun little mic drop moment. So TaeMoo has actually booked a suite for everyone, upgraded everybody else's rooms. And Hari's just like standing in the doorway, and she even comments, she's like, wow, this wallpaper is really cool. Where did they get it from? Because she's like, do I have to spend like time with you? And he's like, well, we can't have separate rooms because what couple would have separate rooms, and how else are you going to sell this? Mm-hmm. And so she's like, okay, well, I'll sleep on the couch. You take the bed. And he goes, well, that's interesting because I'm sleeping on the couch and you're sleeping on the bed. And even if you fall asleep on the couch, I'm going to put you in the bed. So just stop it already. So she reluctantly agrees. And by reluctantly, I mean she sprints to the bedroom and slams the bathroom door shut because she has to deal with the wine stain on her sweater. Mm-hmm. And I will say, I think she takes it a little too far by grabbing the robe and putting it over top of all of her clothes. Just take the sweater off and wash it because you have a shirt on underneath.
Right.
But in Yura's room, MinWoo shows up and Yura decides to tell him, did you know Hari's boyfriend? He goes, I don't think so. And learns that she's actually dating TaeMoo, and he's, again, looks like he ate a lemon and got sucker punched in the gut at the same time. Mm-hmm. But Hari's dealing with all of these messages from the so-called friends of, when did you meet? How long have you been together? Why have you been hiding him? And she's just going, I don't really know what you want me to say. And TaeMoo's like, well, just tell them the truth. You know, I followed you around at work. It was me who pursued you because it was love at first sight for me. And then asks her, you know, do you still have feelings for MinWoo? Like, because it would be really terrible if my girlfriend is cheating on me. Like, that's kind of clueless. And she tells him that he's actually the one that's clueless to bring up an old one-sided crush that she'd already moved on from. Mm-hmm. But he did a great job acting because everybody totally believed everything that he was selling.
So topic number 3 is called Just Pretend. So it is the next morning, and TaeMoo has given Hari a courtesy wake-up call from the gym, informing her that she is about to have a guest in the room. And what he's done is he's sent, like, the hotel staff up to her room with this little mini wardrobe and given her options to choose from, because it would look super weird if she were to walk downstairs in the same clothes that she had put on yesterday.
Right.
And at first, Hari's like, this is too much. And then she kind of gets this little smile on her face because she's like, okay.
I get to
clothes.
Pick an outfit out again.
Great. And then he tells her, make sure it's something white so that we can match for our couple outfit today. So cute.
I love it.
But meanwhile, Youngso is busy suffering from her hangover, from her drunken escapade, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's the, yep.
And she exits her room, and she kind of bumps into a shelf that just hadn't been there before, and she kind of looks at it, and then she looks around and realizes she doesn't really recognize where she is, and she glances at the photos that are sitting on the shelf in front of her, and she realizes she's in Sunghoon's apartment.
Yes, she is.
And the horror starts to wash over her. But Hari has run into MinWoo in the lobby, and he kind of is sulking, and he looks like a kicked puppy when he starts to ask if it's true that she and TaeMoo are dating. And he's about to say something, probably in protest to the whole situation, when TaeMoo strolls up and just, like, wraps his arm around Hari, pulls her in, and she's kind of like, okay, well, this is touching, and we never said touching was okay.
What? This was not part of our conversation last night.
This was not in the contract. But there's definitely some tension between the two men as they sit there puffing their chests and sticking up their tails. I don't even know what that means. Sorry.
Strutting.
Yeah, something. They're peacocking.
Peacocking.
Then back at the apartment, Young-so is actually starting to recall the previous night and that there were some intimate moments she shared with Sung-hoon, and it got a little steamy. And she starts to, like, throw on her clothes. She's like, I gotta get out of here. I feel stupid. I don't remember what happened. I can't face him right now. And as she is trying to escape, Sung-hoon walks in with breakfast, and suddenly Young-so is the one who's putting up walls. She's like, whatever happened last night, let's just forget it happened. We'll call it null and void. And she's like, I gotta go. No, I mixed that up. Okay, so she's saying, well, she's making up excuses, saying, I need to go to work. And he's like, but it's a Sunday. You wouldn't work on a Sunday, would you? And she goes, it's just extremely busy. I have to go. And then he kind of starts to breach the subject of whether or not they're a couple now because of the day before. And she just cuts him off and says, whatever happened yesterday, let's just forget it happened. Let's call it null and void and we're good. And then she just rushes out the door. And poor Sung-hoon's like, what the freak, man?
Now he's the kicked puppy.
He is.
But actually, he's been kicked.
But that brings us to topic 4, which is called Topic 4.
All right. So back at the hotel, TaeMoo is on the phone. There's a meeting back in Seoul, so they're going to have to leave. And so he and Hottie are like, okay, well, we got to go. And Hottie's like, please let me go home. I don't want to be part of this anymore. When the group walks up and is like, hey, you know, we're going to hang out for another day. I know you guys don't actually want to. You want to stay here. And Hottie tries to be like, no, like, we got to get back. We're super busy. And MinWoo asks Hottie to stay behind without TaeMoo, to which TaeMoo is like, you know what? You're right. My schedule's not very flexible for her. And I'm going to make that up to her today. And he charters his grandfather's yacht so they can go sightseeing for dolphins. And as they are boarding the boat, you know, TaeMoo turns around and is like, here, take my hand. I'll help you up. And Hottie's just like, no, I'm good. I can do this by myself. And as she gets on, like, as she's stepping on, she's like, Heart, what are you doing? Stop beating for this guy. Stay.
I love that the friends are like, I'll take your hand.
Yes, please. So as they're on the boat, the girls start asking, you know, how they got together. And TaeMoo tells them, like, their earliest interactions, which are all true. Of, you know, first time we ever met, she's turned me down and was like, he even looks at her, he's like, what was it, 3 or 4 guys? And so they're, you know, having these inside jokes. And she's just going, why are you bringing any of this up? Please stop. But then he's like, you know, the second time I saw her, I proposed because I had to. And she rightfully so turned me down. And Hottie's just sitting there staring at him going, how are you so good at writing this story? Like, what?
Because it's not a story.
Because it's not a story, girl. It's all true. So later on the boat, like, the girls are taking, like, group pictures together. And MinWoo and TaeMoo have a little man-to-man discussion, except MinWoo's a total jerk about it.
They're swinging those things around.
Yeah. They really are. But MinWoo asks TaeMoo, you know, why is it Hottie of all people? You know, she comes from a normal family. She's also your employee. Like, you could have literally any woman that you wanted. And TaeMoo puts him in check and was like, I didn't realize you were that kind of person who judges somebody based on their position in life. And he tells him, you know, I like Miss Shin. In my eyes, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever met. So don't ever talk about her not being good enough. My woman deserves better. We clear on that? And I was like, my guy.
Whoa.
Thank you. Because that's how he actually feels about her. Of like, there's nothing that she needs to make up for. Because I know her for who she is.
Yeah, well, and it kind of gives you a little glimpse into MinWoo's attitude toward her. Being that her status is below his, so it's never going to be someone he's interested in, not seriously at least.
Yeah.
Which is just scummy.
Rude.
Yeah. But that brings us to topic 5, which is called Mississippi. So the girls are chatting up at the, what is that, the bow of the boat? No, the hull. It's the front.
Yeah, that.
The not starboard. Okay, I'm shutting up. So the girls are hanging out on the front of the boat, and they bring up the fishing poles that they had seen in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And TaeMoo's like, well, those are my grandfather's. We're not going to mess with those, right? We've already taken the yacht. We're not going to mess with his stuff on it. And so Hadi and Yura start talking about this time that they had gone on like a little fishing excursion, and MinWoo caught the most amazing fish and prepared it so brilliantly, and it was just the best ever. And TaeMoo's like, yeah, I think we could break out the fishing poles. That'd be fine. And
whose fish is bigger?
He does so with gusto, and a great competition ensues. So Hadi is dying a little bit. She's trying to express the fact that she is suddenly feeling a little bit sick.
Please get me off this boat.
Yeah, but TaeMoo is way too engaged in this show of manhood with MinWoo.
Who can catch a bigger fish?
Who can catch the most? Who can catch the bigger? All of it at the same time. He's
What is that? Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah. But as the two men are busy measuring their catches at the end of the hour or whatever it is, Hadi's still trying to get his attention, like tactfully, and then she finally just collapses. And MinWoo is the one who actually catches her. And then TaeMoo gets the signal like, oh, she's actually not doing so hot. And so MinWoo is being really clingy through this whole scenario, and Yura is not the biggest fan of it.
No.
And honestly, she shouldn't be. She should have some problems with the way he acts around Hadi.
But with him, not with Hadi.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That's so true. But Hadi is becoming really uncomfortable with this whole facade, because she's like, you're being way too clingy. I don't like that you're my boss and you're being forced to dote on me. And he's like, you need to stop, like, bringing that up. But Sunghoon is currently having a drink at that little restaurant that he and Youngso tend to frequent at the same time. And he hears a woman call his name, and he kind of turns and he's like, oh, is she here? And it's another woman meeting another guy, apparently, with his name. But he thinks back over all of these moments that he and Youngso had shared, such as, and he had nearly asked her out on the very first day that they had met. And he's confused about why she's rejecting him if she had admitted her feelings last night. But yeah, we get to see that they both experienced love at first sight.
They both had the flower petals and the hearts exploding around them.
Daisy fields that they were sprinting through. And they just can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
But topic number 6 is called Feeeelings.
You feel some things. So TaeMoo brings Hadi home, and she's sleeping in his car, and once she wakes up, she apologizes of like, I am so sorry that you had to play that part. I'm so sorry that you had to bring out the yacht, just everything. And he tells her that he wanted to do those things, but she's like, I know you're busy. Like, I'm just going to let you leave. And he gets out of the car to follow her and asks her if she really doesn't know. He's like, I did all of those things because I wanted to. Like, I'm not somebody who wastes my time. I did it because I like you. And he apologizes for not noticing her feeling like falling off the boat. So when Hadi gets inside her room, she kind of just sits in shock at her desk going, wait, what? What was I just told? When her mom brings in some clothes to be like, here, I saw these. I thought you'd look really pretty in them. So the next day when Hadi is about to leave for work, she's wearing one of the outfits that her mom has brought in. And the whole family is going on about how she looks so good in that outfit. Also, I wanted that outfit. That was super cute. And she is like feeling herself and then stops and goes, if I dress up right after receiving a confession, he's going to think it means something. And turns around and walks right back into her room to change.
Which brings us to topic 7, which is called deadlines. Also, circle back to the night when her mom gives her the clothes and Hamin she goes, you're working too hard. Your boss shouldn't make you work on weekends like this. And then Hamin kind of peers around the corner and goes, yeah, some chicken shops make, me work all weekend. And as a delivery guy, I'm not getting new clothes out of it. Okay, pada.
Yes.
So, Hadi is right. She's worried about looking like she reciprocates TaeMoo's feelings. And he is kicking himself for not giving her a deadline and just leaving it open-ended like that. Because he's dying on the inside and the outside and in between. His grandfather rushes in with photo evidence of his weekend with a mystery woman. It's Hadi, but you can't see her face. And he actually starts to shout at TaeMoo for cheating on Geum-hee, whom he clearly adores, right? And he starts to chase him around with his cane. And he knows that he had employees bring this woman clothes and had gone sailing on his yacht. And TaeMoo tells his grandfather that he had broken up with Geum-hee, so he's not technically cheating. And Sung-hoon looks so defeated in the back of this whole scene.
Poor guy.
But as his grandfather, swings his cane at his head, he, catches it. And he's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Here's what happened. And then as the two have left and the chairman's chilled out just a little bit, Sung-hoon is like, I'm getting texts from the chairman that are telling me to start these blind dates back up. And he's like, you just need to confess to Hadi and introduce her to the chairman to get this over with.
Right.
And TaeMoo's like, I did. I'm just waiting for an answer. It's fine. And Sung-hoon's like, yeah, fine. Everything's fine. You've already been rejected. Sorry, dude. And that brings us to topic 8, which is called Clear the Air.
Hadi and Yunso, they are sharing their woes with about the men in their lives. Over tteokbokki, and Yunso starts and she's like, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know. And Hadi's like, okay, well then I also don't know where to begin. She's like, and they're both just like, where do we start with our stories with each other? And instead Yongso starts, and this is when Hadi learns that she had spent the night with Sung-hoon, but she doesn't remember a thing about that night. And Hadi tells her that she should have just been honest with him. Like, I didn't remember. I had way too much to drink, clearly. Like, it's nothing to do with you. I was schmammered, yeah. And as she's talking, Hadi gets a message, and it is a picture of her and TaeMoo together from one of the girls, and they're thanking her and say, tell, your boyfriend, thank you so much. We had such a great time together. And Youngso sees the picture and was like, I knew it. I knew you guys were a thing. She tells him that about the guy who had recorded them, that he had gotten a harsher sentence for his crimes because of TaeMoo's actions of getting more of his victims. And she goes, I thought he did that just because he wanted justice, but it turns out he really just likes you. And while they are having their heart-to-heart, TaeMoo is trying to sort things out with Sung-hoon of just like, this was out of the blue for her, so she needs time, right? And I told her to give her time. And he's like, well, yeah. He's like, but how long do you think that's going to take? And he goes, every person's different. He's like, so I shouldn't call her after I told her I would give her time. And he goes, no, you shouldn't call her. Please don't call her.
He's just saying all the things we've all thought before out loud.
Absolutely. But then Youngso and Sung-hoon, they both arrive to their parking garage at the same time. And Youngso sees him, panics, and turns to hide behind one of the pillars, except she doesn't really hide because her entire coat is on the floor. And then her phone begins to ring and she's panicking because it's spam. And someone walks up behind her and asks her to stop making him feel so pathetic and just stop avoiding me because I'm going to pretend that it didn't happen. That night was null and void. And then informs her that it wasn't something compulsive for him to do, that he's also liked her since the convenience store. And Youngso follows him up to the apartment because she goes, I'm sorry. What? You mean this whole time we've liked each other and you just had this wall?
Mr. Slipper drawing a line on the...
Yeah. Don't cross this line.
Don't.
So she actually follows him inside his apartment and comes clean and is like, I don't remember anything, and I just felt awkward and I just didn't know what to say, and so I just made excuses because I didn't know, obviously, how you felt about me. Mm-hmm. And he finds her adorable because she's now just and rambling. And he laughs at her and calls her cute and then tells her, I'll make sure you never forget. ...
Yes. Topic 9 is called chemistry. So it is the next day, and Hadi takes a photo at work of a sign, or it's like a
screen.
TV, big TV announcement saying that her ravioli is like the #1 seller in that category or whatever for the company. And so she's super proud of that, as she should be. And in walks TaeMoo, and he's kind of ignoring her just a little bit, giving her the space that she's asked for. And then it's the next day, she's at a convenience store. She sees tteokbokki sitting on the shelf, and she picks it up, and she thinks back to how TaeMoo had put so much care into the research and development of this particular product, and she kind of smiles, and then she's like, what am I doing? And then it's another day, she's avoiding TaeMoo in the lobby again, hiding behind the pillar, which apparently is something that she and Youngso really like to do. But Hadi's coworkers are speculating on who the woman in this photo that is being circulated may be. And TaeMoo blows up in a meeting about an ambiguous deadline that is being presented, and he's like, why don't you just pick a date and stick to it? Which may be projecting there a little bit. But he is in another meeting, and he's looking at the report being given by the team leader of Team 2, and he realizes it's been a week since he gave Hadi the confession, and she still has yet to do anything with it. And as he's thinking this, his phone starts to ring with calls from the chairman, who's trying to get him to go on these blind dates. And he ignores them. And then as he's flipping through the notes for the meeting, he sees a filming proposal with the development team, which includes Hadi, and he asks to be included in the shoot. So when they all arrive on set, Hadi is with Miss Kim, who is supposed to be filming this with MinWoo as the representative for the development team. But she's been kind of nervous, so she's been taking these calming pills. And maybe took one or two too many, and they have hit her hard, and she is in a little bit of a loopy daze over in the corner.
Nice nap for the table.
Yes. And Kevin's like, I'm ready, put me in, coach. And Weeju's just like, yeah, no, you're forbidden.
Stop it.
Hadi, you go get ready. And that brings us into topic 10, which is called Love is in the Air.
So they have begun their shoot. And, just starting the prep. And MinWoo and Hadi have great chemistry because they have been friends for so long. And they're both used to working in a kitchen. So they at least can, the ebb and flow of the conversation of like, do I do this next? It's super easy. And TaeMoo shows up and is wondering where Hadi is and sees her, up, for the shoot. And like something like pulls him back and is like, no, you need to stay back here. Stop.
Down, kitty, down.
But Hadi also gets distracted when she sees him, and she's knocked over a bottle of like sauce of some kind. And she's chopping away and she's staring at TaeMoo and hits the bottle, and red goes flying everywhere, and everybody's afraid that she's chopped off one of her fingers in her inability to pay attention. So she's in the bathroom trying to clean off her jacket, and TaeMoo walks up after she is leaving, and they share the most awkward hi.
Hey, stranger.
How's it going, I guess? I don't really have time to talk to you. Like, I need to get back to work. And while they're having this painful interaction, the chairman shows up, and he is not quiet, and he is yelling for TaeMoo. And Sunghoon tries to distract the chairman, and TaeMoo pulls Hottie to go, okay, we're gonna go through all of this, I don't know, what is it, like a displays of...
Probably different filming sets.
Filming sets? Okay.
Was my guess. It looked like an IKEA, but I'm pretty sure because they were filming...
Yeah, and they would have different things.
Sets
okay.
For different,
I've seen this a few times, and every time I was like...
Where are they?
What are they? What? Sets makes...
Or an IKEA. I don't know.
IKEA. They were filming at IKEA.
Right.
There we go.
Korea. I gotta shut up. Sorry.
So they hide in one of these sets. They're like in this corner, and the chairman is like blowing up as Sunghoon is like, your employees are here. You need to stop. And he goes, you know what? He's going to go... TaeMoo's going on blind dates until he gets back together with Gyunhee. Like, I'm sick of this nonsense. And he leaves. And Hottie tells TaeMoo that, like, you know what? We just can't be together. Especially after listening to this. Like, this is too much. Mm-hmm. I will never be accepted. And TaeMoo stops her and was like, so you're telling me you really don't feel anything for me? He doesn't care what the outside... opinions are going to be. He wants just, what do you feel for me? And he tells her that, you know what, it doesn't matter how you respond to me. I'm going to confess my feelings for you again, which he does. And then tells her that he's going to continue to pursue her no matter how many times she rejects him. So she needs to prepare.
It's the curse of the blockbuster again.
Yes. And she... I don't think she really intended to, but she admits that she can't stop thinking about him. And every time she's able to, you know, start to forget, he makes her think about a future together. And he's like, well, then I'm going to make sure that that happens. Like, I'll do whatever it takes.
To that hope you just gave me.
And Hottie is the one who kisses him.
Mm-hmm.
End of episode.
Character of the hour.
Can it be all four?
I know, really, though.
Like, because, okay, so TaeMoo, like, he's just showing his affection for the woman that he likes. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. Like, I like you, so I'm going to do things that you like so that we can hang out together.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell my grandfather that the fake girlfriend that I never actually had, I broke up with so I can be with you. Mm-hmm. And then we have Sunghoon of just being like, what? Why? What? Why is this night null and void? Like, I liked you. I've liked you from day one. I also was running through the fields of daisies when I saw you and was like, oh, this is my love. And
yeah, it wasn't just an empty...
Right. And so they're both romantics that are just so enjoyable. And Youngso in this episode even of just like, yeah, I didn't remember anything because I was hammered. I apologize that I remember nothing. Yeah. But it's not because I don't like you.
Mm-hmm. I feel like my character of the hour is probably Sunghoon. TaeMoo, I always get weird whenever the characters are like, I don't care if you say no. I'm going to keep pursuing you. I'm like, oh, yeah. It's a little...
What?
Salty.
That's a bit strong.
Coming on a bit strong there, friend. And then Youngso, I was irritated with her because she couldn't just... She's been saying what she feels this whole time, and then finally when she gets what she wants, she's like, nah, I'm just gonna lie. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Stop it! So yeah, the two guys were better.
And then Hottie, I think, was probably... I don't know, she's just being avoidant. But she has good reasons, too. But I think Sunghoon is probably my character of the hour just because he was very honest the whole time. He didn't really do anything to deserve the initial treatment that he got.
No, he did not.
And then when he understands
The
what
situation.
Youngso is doing, he's like, oh, it's fine. Want to go Netflix and chill for a minute?
You want some ramen?
Want to have some ramen and go? Or not go? I don't know.
I mean, you're just next door, so...
Love next door.
Hint.
So I think he was probably my character of the hour just because he was the most
Mature.
Yeah. Final thoughts.
When we were eating dinner earlier, I told you, I was like, this episode and the next episode are like just fun. I think they're the most fun because there's not like any serious pressing matters or there's no, resistance from anybody else.
It's a cute romance part.
Yeah, it's the...
We haven't brought in the class disparity yet because the grandfather doesn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Or Youngso's dad. Like... But then, I mean, again, it's the black card episode, so it's the,
Of course, it's the best episode.
It's one of the best episodes.
I think it had to do with MinWoo.
Oh, being a class A jerk?
That's putting it nicely.
Like, to his girlfriend, he is being a complete jerk.
Well, yeah, I just don't like the fact that he's like, you can't have her. But she's not good enough for me, so I'm not gonna
have her either.
Claim her either. And then I don't excuse Yura's behavior. She's being a crazy person. At the same time, it's being exacerbated by MinWoo's behavior.
Right.
I think MinWoo's behavior is exacerbating her behavior, and her behavior is pushing him farther away. So they're just no good for each other. I mean, they've done this hot and cold, on again, off again thing, like. Walk away from it. Put it down. It clearly has not worked yet, so just stop.
Stop.
Neither of you have grown enough to return to this, so just go away.
You're both being insane.
Yeah.
Repeating the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
Yeah, it's definition of insanity, right? So I just don't like either of them right now. I also understand... I understand Yura's insecurity being exacerbated by MinWoo pulling back from her because of her insecurity. So it's just a never-ending loop.
And for him to pull Hottie into it
is unfair.
Is totally unfair because she already had walked away. And she even tells TaeMoo that of like, yeah, that was a one-sided crush that I got over. Yep. Like I decided to move on. She even told MinWoo a couple episodes ago of like, you have a girlfriend. Worry about her. Don't worry about me. So.
Yep. Word.
I'm
excited to get into the final third of the episode. Of the series. Jeez, man. Anyway, if you have not yet, make sure you go like, comment, subscribe. We like to interact with you guys, so anything you have to let us know in the way of feedback, we would love to hear from you. Send us a DM on Instagram if you want to. Go check out some of our other content. We've just posted our full review of Vigilante Season 1 and also our first part of Love Next Door, and we will be reviewing No Gain, No Love coming up. So lots of different things to check out. Make sure that you're keeping up with us on our socials. We're super excited to share some more content with you, so we will see you next time.
Okay, bye. I also just realized those are green.
Butts.
Like
liked what you're hearing, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any new episodes. We'd love to connect with you on our Instagram at The KDrama Show. For more behind-the-scenes content, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for hanging out with us on The KDrama Show with Ashley and Kim, and we'll see you next time.